Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast. I'm your host and beat writer, Brock Vieira. You can check out all of our work at www.si.com/NFL/Rams on SI, where we drop double digit pieces of content every single day pertaining to the Rams, what's happening with the team, what's happening with the players, and what's the situation looking like going into the draft, and then, of course, the veteran free agent market, and then into OTAs in the next season. Usually, that's what we talk about here. Unfortunately, today we have to address a topic that is a bit, not a bit, a lot more serious in nature. And that is, of course, the recent report that Los Angeles Rams star wide receiver Puka Nacua has checked himself into a rehabilitation facility. I'm going to get you guys all caught up on what we know so far and what this means for the Rams moving forward. And of course, you can go and check out my further thoughts on the situation at Rams on SI. So, first off, the report was first broken by the California Post, and this is what we understand so far. Most of the um, discussion around the situation has come from Nakua's attorney, Levi McCatherine, and this is what McCatherine told to NFL insider Steve White. Um, Again, the story was first reported by the Post, and this is what we know so far. He is committed to using this time constructively so that he can return in the best possible position, both personally and professionally, to continue contributing to his team and the game he loves. He will complete the program in time to fully participate in all of the Rams OTAs. Puka is also deeply grateful for the support he's received from his family, friends, Coach Sean McVay, and teammates. So obviously, Nakua has been in the news recently, and then just kind of since the ending of the 2025 season for off-field incidences. This latest one comes from a lawsuit that alleges Nakua used anti-Semitic language and also that he bit a female victim. These allegations have been denied by Nakua and his representation, and there is a belief that Nacua will be filing a countersuit over those claims. Nacua went into this rehabilitation program before the lawsuit was filed, so we believe, and this is purely speculative, that between the ending of the Super Bowl, which Nacua was in attendance for, that whole week for the Pro Bowl games, NFL honors, all that, and then into March when the lawsuit was filed, at that point, Nakua had checked himself into this facility. What we also understand about this is that this was a decision that Nakua made because he recognized his pattern of behavior and that he wants to greatly improve. And then also the last fact to really touch on in regards to this situation is the fact that Nakua, a member of the 2023 draft class, is eligible for a record-setting extension this offseason. According to Leslie from earlier this year, the Rams planned to attack free agency, then the draft, and then players currently in the contract. The draft, of course, is at the end of April, so then we're looking at May for a potential timeline for an extension. And that's kind of the basis of what we know so far. This is a tough video to record because this goes beyond football. And you want to make sure that you do justice to the situation while also showing respect to the person, obviously dealing with something that goes far beyond the game. From my very brief interactions with Nacua, because I've only been covering this team for 1 year, without a doubt, he's one of the most loved players within the organization. The, the players love him, the coaches love him. His smile is infectious as is his attitude. His play is prevalent and unquestionable. There's so much to love about him. Then you have these instances where you start to question the level of mental maturity, where you start to question decision making skills, where you start to question, is this a player from an organizational standpoint? Do we want to invest nine figures into him? Especially when he has a short lifespan in terms of his playing career. Not only does he play in a very physical manner, he also said he doesn't want to play beyond the age of 30. So that we're looking at another five, six, potentially 7 seasons of that timeline. He just finishes third. I don't know what it's like to be a star athlete. I don't know what it's like to make the kind of money Nacua does or have the potential to make the kind of money he's expected to make within the next 60 days. It is difficult to navigate this world when you are Puka Nacua. You are a player who goes from being a relative unknown in the world of college football to someone who bursts on the scenes as a fifth round pick to now someone being regarded as the second best, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL. This was an NFL Offensive Player of the Year candidate. When you have that type of reputation, people are attracted to the name, not the person. I think that's where this entire issue lies. Nakua works incredibly hard at his craft, and as such, he should be able to enjoy the fruits of his labor. And perhaps if this was another time, if this was the 90s, if this was the 2000s, Nakua's current actions would be regarded as conservative compared to what players used to do back then. But the thing about the old days is they're the old days, and you can't be doing this stuff like this anymore. For Nakua, he really needs to ask himself at this point, and he's been asking himself clearly by these actions, what do I want out of life? He's talked about the things that gives him love, gives him joy. One of them is football. Another is his family, especially his child, who unfortunately, even before coming into this world, was already embroiled in a issue that made public headlines. And I'm gonna leave it at that because again, I want to be respectful. When you go from in a span of less than 4 years, a relative unknown to the biggest superstar in the one of the biggest superstars in the world, and then you start adding on all this extra things that come with it, needing to be that number one guy for the Rams, having to deal with that pressure. Then you start looking at familial commitments and what does that entail, and then you start looking at what it takes every day to be a top athlete, and you notice things that start chipping away at your life. At some point, you're gonna ask yourself, what am I doing? Why am I working this hard if I'm not having fun? So you go out and you have fun. I've had fun. Everyone's had fun. We've all been to college. We're all young adults, or people have been young adults. There is a threshold that we all have the ability to reach and not exceed, and thus we are able to avoid controversy. Because of his notoriety and fame, Nakua's threshold is at a much lower level. And unfortunately, because of that, he can't act or behave like a normal young person. He has to hold himself to a higher standard because of the job that he works at and because of the things that come along with it. Is it unfair? Yes. But that is the price you pay to have the privilege of playing in the NFL, of working in the NFL. And I hope that with this stint, Nakua can realize that he could be throwing away everything if he doesn't start making consistent decisions that are beneficial not only to his branding, which is Puka Nakua, but the person itself. Because the brand can only go as far as the lifeblood of the person. The brand can never be bigger than the person because without the person, there's no brand. And if there's constant attacks on the person or constant decisions being made by the person that reflects negatively, it will reflect negatively on the brand. Moving forward, because of this statement, Nakua still sits with 10 OTAs, still set to compete. I don't think that he's hit the line of we have to have a serious conversation, let alone the line of no return. But this is going to be a pivotal point in his life. What he does from here on out will be put under a microscope. Undeserved? Yes. Because if we all had our mistakes put out there, trust me when I say we would all be looked at in a negative light. The good news for Nakua is that if these actions are sincere, he caught it early enough to where this is not going to affect him in the long term. The Rams are still going to pay him. He's still going to be a superstar, and he's still going to be able to live the life that he wants. However, if he wants to live the life that he wants, he's going to have to make sacrifices. That means cut down the nightlife. That means cut down on partying. That means less screen time outside of what the world already sees of you on the football field and in the locker room and after games and already with the media. Streamers, parties, all that stuff, they're fun. And he deserves to go and enjoy himself. But he doesn't get a chance to because unlike most 20-year-olds, when I was Nakua's age, I was coming out of school and I was trying to find myself and I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. Right now, he's already accelerated. He doesn't get a chance to enjoy his young 20s anymore in the way that we all got to because he's getting himself set up for a lifetime of enjoyment, at least financially. And that is the price you pay. And I hope that for his sake, for the Rams, for just everyone, that this is a price that he doesn't have to pay moving forward. This has been Brock Vieira for the Los Angeles Rams Insider Podcast. We'll catch y'all next time. Take care.